pretty bad. I can't blame her. She says, like, Aldemir said you're good or something, and she said, I want to see, you know? Like, this is definitely one of those moments where it's really important to see what he overbets a turn with. So.
Well, she got to see it, but now we get to see her back on top. 20 big blinds separating her and Kari Aldemir now.
I mean, perfect play by both, honestly. I mean, you know. That's just very, very cool hand to watch. What a good bet sizing by Aldemir as well on the turn. Really fit that hand well.
By the way, we are closing in on 2 full hours of poker since we got down to 8.
Whoa. All right. It's not bad etiquette at all to ask. It is bad if somebody like calls you and you show a good hand and then you mock and then they say, I want to see that hand. But in this case, it was very normal just to be like, hey, it was an important spot. You know, you have to show anyway because you're the first one to show. So
what's the difference, though, if there was an important spot when you get called? Is there a slight etiquette difference?
Well, there's a difference. Like, okay, let's say you bet the river and I call you. You have the right to see my hand if I muck. That's very bad etiquette. That's kind of like, all right, you won the pot, dude. You were the one betting, you know.
So because I went check, it's less bad etiquette than if it had gone bet call.
Yeah, because this is like, I mean, Aldemir is supposed to show first anyway, so nothing changes.
Okay.
You know, and when you when somebody gets called on the river, the person that gets called needs to show.
Like Maria is going to get a little aggressive. Small to big. Jack 4 off.
Yeah.
On to the Winter Soldier. Your boy Bucky.
He's liking them, boy.
Good. I like it. It's 100% defend normally, but I like the fold.
I call you.
I had a good hand, right?
You will be happy.
10 minutes left on this level. We are going to all of those short stacks there. Their number of chips won't change, but their number of big blinds will in just 10 minutes time. We might be getting down to all in the blind situation. Somebody doesn't take a stand.
This is also terrible for medium-sized stacks. We could see there for a while that everybody was kind of dropping towards the 20 big blind mark. Titov, of course, doubled to a very safe stack. I don't think we're going to be hearing much from him.
I think I'm going to treat everyone at this table to a shot of tequila and an amoxicillin pill. I think just a round of antibiotics
will do the trick.
Would be a good start for half these folks.
You see what's really cool here is that Aldemir was opening a lot before too, and Maria didn't really consider many spots, and now she leads him by 20 big blinds, and she just immediately looks, all right, you know, now I'm the chip leader. I have position. I'm the boss now.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
So Aldemir raised queen 8. Maria flatted the button, 9-8 suited. Buchanan has also got a suited 9 in the small blind, but he is getting out of the way, as is Morales. Domination situation headed into the flop.
I really would have liked the 3-bet there, though.
Both players catch a pair.
Maybe play some live.
Dead right here.
I wonder if he's gonna maybe take a more passive line, a little pot control here, because he's never gonna run into worse queens, right? Like she never has queen 7 or lower, so it might be a good one to like bluff catch with. You want to have some top pairs you check after you raise pre-flop, so you could use really strong ones or really bad ones, and this is about as bad as it gets.
Propolis decides to take over the aggressing. That's 125. A little over a third of the pot.
I think that this hand really illustrates well what 3-betting a hand like 9-8 does for you. You just get rid of hands like this that do really well against you. That's a great card for her. It's also something that Aldemir could be check calling with. He has some kings in that range. Now we're kind of going to see what her bet was intended like. If she just going to check, then she just wanted some value / protection. If she's going to bet, then she is kind of turning her middle pair into bluff. But usually, when tangling against other big stacks, she has been taking the lower variance routes. That is a really good card for Aldemir. He now chops against Queen Jack, Queen 10. I mean, I think it's best for him to just bluff catch and check, yeah. Yeah. She's gonna think to herself now, damn it. That was my pot to win.
But instead it goes to Aldemir, closing the gap between them. 9 big blinds between them now. Both of them with more than twice the stack of the 3rd place chip holder, Adelpha Morales. Four minutes left on the level means we're going to get just a few more hands in. Seems pretty unlikely we're going to lose anyone before the blinds go up again. TRN at work asks, are we playing down to 6 today? Yeah, we are.
And hear from teed off again here. Legit raising hands.
1,080,000. 80, 1.8, yeah.
Absolutely comfortable. I think you could make a pretty decent case here for 3-bet folding ace queen.
Why are we already at 3-bet folding? Let's just 3-bet it.
No,
see
you
what
can't.
happens.
You can't. You can't 3-bet hands like this without a plan. You need to know what to do after, because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Well, she's just calling. She's not putting herself in a position to be able to be 3-bet.
Yeah, that's fine too. Calling is fine too.
Sorry, to be 4-bet. Excuse me. 6-6 deuce, and we know that Titov, he doesn't really seem to care about flops or board texture or position, fashion, etiquette. Well, he's going to check it this time.
I'd like to see a really small bet from Metropolis. You can get called by many worse ace highs. I mean, he has every ace high that he would raise in his range still. I mean, you lose some hands that could bluff you, like Jack 10, King 10 and stuff, but I mean, you're also giving those hands a free look at the turn, right? So I think that kind of evens each other out. Yeah, I really like this bet. It's pretty intense there.
You hit a 6-6 too.
No, obviously not, Oleg. Obviously not. He knows that you are allowed to bet if you haven't hit a flop. Yes?
You sure?
I mean, he knows. He's been firing.
Gonna be the last hand
Маша, тебе оставь.
of the level. Sorry, Oleg.
Take it. Okay.
The real hand now. I mean, King 10 suited is a real hand as well, but this one could definitely take some heat if one of the 20 big blind stacks shows. And we have both Mateos and Buchanan on a 22 big blind stack. We have Kupal on a 21 big blind stack and Rudolph on a 19 big blind stack. That's crazy. But if any of those guys go all in, then he can definitely just call there with the 10s.
Oh boy, here we go.
Here we do go.
Welcome to Flipsville. Population, Buchanan, and Titov. One of them soon to be leaving town.
125?
Although, with Titov, who knows how this is going to go down.
That's true.
There's the all-in from Buchanan.
How much?
Titov wants to know how much. Titov does have Buchanan covered. She's getting to it. Just relax.
It's a bad spot for him. I mean, it's a good spot, but it's also kind of nerve-wracking, right? You're going to be doing really well with your 10s here, but...
1,100,000.
1 million?
1,110,000.
Sorry.
1 million.
1,110.
1 million.
1,100,000.
110, yeah.
Okay. Okay, 1,100,000.
There's the call. We are flipping.
Монетка. Бабка-ёшка, давай.
Like chasing waterfalls versus not having any scrubs. One of these two hands has a slight mathematical advantage.
Давай, давай.
I don't know what he's laughing about, but so am I.
Yeah, it's so great.
Nice, please.
Please.
This will be the last hand of the level.
Titov loses this hand. He's stuck with 11 big blinds. It'll be the definite short stack.
King on the flop. Buchanan hits. Titov does have outs. He's got 9 of them. Any 7, any 10, any queen.
What a 6 sweat.
Sick sweat indeed. 1 card to come. And that is a brick.
Была права.
So Sean
Не, ну,
Buchanan
нормальная монетка, что?
Doubles up on the last hand of the level, leaving Oleg Titov with only 10 big blinds, excuse me, 8 once the blinds go up.
What?
Those blinds become 30,000, 60,000 with a 10K ante when we get back from this break.
Ну, блядь, а с чего там вдруг что-то будет лучше десяток?
Disaster.
It was bound to happen. We were bound to take a flip at some point. Well, there is your chip count. Maria Lampropoulos still on top of us. 81 big blinds. Aldemir also sitting pretty. Morales, Buchanan, but Mateos, Kupel, Rudolph, Titov all in the danger zone. Titov specifically. Stick around though, my babies. We got break content for you. Hang out for Table Talk.
Thanks very much, Joe and Lex. Joining me for Table Talk is Jonathan Little to cast his beady eye over proceedings from that level. Before we get into the analysis, Jonathan, let's just have a reminder, first of all, of the payouts and what is at stake as these players play cards. It's not just any old game of cards, it's that sort of game of cards. One look at the money jumps there. Is that the reason, really, we're seeing this kind of timid, slower play?
That is exactly the reason. There are a bunch of short stacks hanging around, and if they can outlast just even one more person, they get, well, you see right there, they go from 116,000 to 169,000. And if they outlast just one or two more people, now all of a sudden they're getting almost 300,000. So,
sure. And for some of these players, that is life-changing amounts of money. Let's have a look at what stacks the players have right now. Interesting setup.
A very interesting setup. We now see Titov at the bottom with the 10 big blind stack after just losing that big pot right at the end, and that is going to really force the other medium stacks, well, short stacks, call them what you would like, 18 to 20 big blind stacks to play tight as well. So we're going to continue with the grind most likely. Maybe Titov doubles up, and then there's a bunch of 20 big blind stacks, and they just all hang out, and we keep hanging out.
It seemed like the short stacks just got shorter, apart from Morales and Buchanan, who pretty much doubled up. And then you've got Lampropoulos and Aldemir at the top, completely untouchable.
So far, no one has been messing with them, right? And Aldemir has pretty much been able to do what he wants. He hasn't really ran into it too much, and they're just hanging out. They're picking up all the blinds and antes, which is exactly what the shorts or the big stacks are supposed to do to the short stacks.
Can you understand why people are playing timid because of these pay jumps? I know as a purist you might want them to play faster and a bit more aggressive poker, but it is totally understandable at this stage. And would you say that this is how you would expect this stage of the tournament to be playing out right now?
I would say it's understandable. I would have been pushing it a little bit harder if I was some of the shorter stacks. There were a few spots where we're going to go over shortly where I definitely think that the play has been a little bit too conservative.
Okay, well, let's have a look at an example of some passive play from one of those medium stacks. Earlier on, hand number 125 sees Maria Lampropoulos raise up with the absolute world under the gun here. Now, generally speaking, she doesn't open up too light in that position, does she?
Right. She has applied most of her aggression from later and middle position with garbage hands, and from early position, she's tended to be somewhat reasonable. Not super nitty by any means, but reasonable. So, obviously, she needs to raise with her aces.
Okay, well, this is the most curious part of this hand, I think. Christian Rudolph, when it comes around to him, he's packing pocket jacks. He's got just 30 bigs, and he just calls here. Just talk me through that, because I'm struggling to get my head around it.
Well, the important thing to note here is there also at the table there is a 19 big blind stack, a 16 big blind stack, and a 22 big blind stack, and also a 25 big blind stack. So he's actually fourth in chips, or third in chips at the table. So because of that, he really does need to play somewhat cautiously. He doesn't necessarily want to get it all in. And if he does re-raise, Maria's probably going to fold out a lot of her hands like ace-10 and pocket sixes. So calling keeps those hands in, and it also allows him to sidestep a somewhat setup situation. It would be different if he was one of the shorter stacks. But yeah, 30 big blinds is normally pretty short, but in this scenario, it's actually pretty decent. and he wants to make or try to make sure he doesn't go broke.
Kind of an annoying flop, really, for Maria, that, because had it come down all undercards, she would have got a lot more out of this.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of not slow playing, but this is one of these spots where you should. The board is so dry and so uncoordinated to where you really don't mind giving a free card.
When somebody opens up and then immediately checks instead of c-betting, does that sniff of extraordinary strength?
It usually sniffs of marginal strength, like pocket kings or ace 2. A hand that's pretty good that wants to get to a somewhat cheap showdown. Maybe hands like king queen, king jack, king 10, those could certainly be there. I would assume her to bet with that she bets with queen jack and jack 10 and hands like that, though.
So we get to